really work out a little bit more with just having a little bit more out there, I guess. So. I'm just gonna wait for people to get through. I'm just also setting up a few extra stuff, so just bear with me for a little bit. We're gonna start a little bit later than 7:30 flat, but yeah, so nothing too crazy. All right, I know people are slowly filing in, and we're just doing a thing. Uh, yeah. I have the notes from the person that usually does this class, which is Shushaner. And we just kind of use it as a kind of soft guide with some of the stuff that I do want to go over. Some of the stuff that I do want to cover specifically is, I'm talking. So I'm talking. I'm going to be talking about some more specific classroom stuff. I'm also hoping to talk a little bit more about some like movement stuff, aim theory stuff. Just like I want to try to cover a lot more things in specific that I can't really cover that usually when it comes to the more general classes. So that's my hope for this time around. So this first half, I'm just kind of gonna wing it, just to kind of get things rolling. Um, and really, before even talking about competitive scout, just talk about scout in general. So, Shoeshocker, he always likes to start the conversation with the importance of scout, and that's where I'm also going to start things. Um, First things first, whenever I talk about scout, I make it very, very clear with everyone, like, what I always say about scout is that, hands down, without question, he is the best 1v1 class in the game, like, hands down. If we are talking on a theoretical, like, we're talking cold, calculated, theory-wise, scout is the best 1v1 class. Again, theoretically, or hypothetically, I'm talking big absolutes here, but he can dodge everything he needs. He has one of the best DPSs with the ability to dodge a lot of that damage, which really makes him the best 1v1 fighter in the game. I'd say Scout and Soldier kind of like fight that title, but head-on-head fighting Scout is hands down the best. So right, he compared to what he was back, when the game came out back during Team Fortress Classic, he does a lot of damage. He has mobility for free. You're not trading rocket jumping, right? You're not trading health for your damage. You have that double jump that you can help to get around places and also, again, dodge damage. And he's a small class. And really what keeps him in check is the fact that, he's very squishy and easy to kill if you catch him. So, being the fact that he has hit scan too, there's no unpredictability because with rockets, right? You have to predict your. I know this. I know this might sound a lot very like simple, but obviously you have to predict people with the rockets. You have to predict people with stickies. You're not going to be doing that with Scout because he has pretty much all hit scan. The only like non-hit scan you really can get is like projectile-based weapons, like maybe like the Rap Assassin or like the Cleaver or Sandman or something like that. Back when the Sandman was good or whatever. So yeah, another big thing that changes a lot of everything is the fact, and this is just big very small change in the game that ended up completely shifting the shifting the tides of the game. Also, hello, Jeff. um, there's one big thing that really changed the way Scout was played, and it was during Meet Your Match, or I'm pretty sure it's Meet Your Match. I feel like sometimes I like say stuff and then I like backtrack because I mess it up. I'm pretty sure about this. You can fact check me. Meet Your Match was when the Scout speed was changed so that medics will now match Scout speed with every metagun, not just the quick fix. Or yeah, I think like I think that's. I feel like I'm saying something wrong, but until then, I'm gonna say I'm right. And that was really the shifted the way the game was played. Not only did Pocket Soldier become much less pocket, you have to remember there's a time and place when Pocket Soldier actually run, stock rocket launcher and stock shotgun, which nowadays they don't do. And Scout was a lot more. It's kind of more like two Pocket Soldiers, two flank Scouts in a sense. But that Scout speed really helps Scout to be a big combo member of the medic because the medic's survivability is based on the Scouts. So having that once again, recapping, having that hit scan means that you can deny people accurately and you're having the theoretically best DMing in the game. And with the balance changes that happen in Meet Your Match, it makes Scout a lot more useful than killing the medic. So, or keeping your medic alive, which I'm already kind of starting to talk about the competitive side of things, but I'm gonna try to ease my way into that. So, yeah, so that's what I think about it when it comes to the base Scout fundamentals. And I guess that it might just be better to talk about the competitive side now, and then I talk about a little bit more about mid fight and like kind of like this more specific scenarios and aim theory a little bit more. So first off, maybe some of you are already been playing for a few weeks. Maybe some of you are just kind of chilling and not really doing much, or maybe you guys didn't hear about it until you signed up or whatever happened. In that case, just a quick recap on Pocket Scout and Pocket Soldier. Again, trying to get all the basic stuff out of the way, just so that it's a little bit easier to understand. As a Pocket Scout, right? As the name of me, you've always heard the term like the Pocket Medic. A Pocket Scout, they're sitting with the medic, they're sitting with the combo, and really the Pocket Scout's main role in the game is to be protecting the medic. Pocket Scout has another name in sixes, and that's Medic's Bodyguard. Alright, it's what I usually like to tell my newbies. You're the one that you will be rewarded graciously for controlling yourself and sticking yourself near the medic, so then you get more heals, and then he gets protection from you. It's a mutual benefit. You get more heals, so you're less likely to die, and you deny any people that are coming into him, so then he dies less. So then you have more Ubers, and as a result, both of you are happy. Both of you get more. You get more kills. So, yeah. What really helps out again the scout speed, matching the scout speed as a medic, and having that mobility to be able to walk around and get vision. That's partly why Pocket Scout is pretty much the most popular class to have a main color on, because he doesn't really have a trade off for getting information. Right? His base health is fast, or his base speed. I should say. Sorry about that. His base speed is fast. So he can get out and in and get a lot of information, and he already knows the state of the medic because, in theory, he should be with the medic. And maybe how you guys have to remember, Uber dictates the movement of the game. You can't really ignore Uber unless you're throwing. So, yeah. Um. Yeah. So. Also, are you guys hearing me just fine? There will be visual aids. Again, for the first part, I'm just kind of gonna be winging it. I'm gonna hopefully have one of my co-coaches come in to help out and get some concepts in. So yeah, I mean, if that's why I'm just talking in here for now. You guys can just kind of sit there and like do some other stuff while I'm just talking for like I'd say like the next 15 minutes. The first half I'm just kind of gonna be talking. Second half I just want to go more into a little bit more about aiming and scenarios. So uh yeah, and plus we're my co-coach is still helping to set up some stuff. So yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? Um so Pocket Scout. I'm going back to Pocket Scout and about the importance about just being by your medic side. One of Scout's roles, in general, for a competitive Scout, is alongside the general idea that the Scout only has hit scan, and because you have that control over your weapon, in a sense, that makes you the best possible candidate to be denying bombs, denying advances. Because sure, yeah, you can air shot, and if a soldier bombs, you can try to air shot and deny him from jumping, but that's way easier said than done, right? I can't exactly ask of my players. I can't ask of myself to like get a perfect 48 damage air shot on two bombing soldiers that they both do a high bomb ultimate medic. You just can't do that. On the other hand, if Scout plays plays with their medic, especially flanks Pocket Scout, they can watch for those soldiers and then they can do as much damage as they could and try to prevent them from walking forward just without damage, just tagging them with damage. So, Flank Scout, that will be part of Flank Scout's role as well. It is primarily Pocket Scout's role to deny bombs, but Flank Scout definitely does have a kind of role in doing that, especially when it comes to stopping the roamer, because you have to remember the flank members stop the flank members. So, yeah, if they can prevent the roamer from even getting in a bombing position or prevent them from setting up that bomb, that is way more useful than just trying to salvage right when they do go in. So, yeah. Another big thing with scouts, I feel like a lot of newer scouts have trouble with communication. I think as a scout, right, what you're inclined to do, especially when you're talking in like a casual environment, right? Scout is the guy. He is the guy that goes around and flanks, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care about no man. He likes to go out in there and then do some do like a tons of meat shots, and then he backs out because he's a little scoundrel. And I feel like for a lot of people, it's a little bit hard to kind of ground themselves as a pocket scout specifically. I think when most people think of scout, they can think of that flank scout playstyle. You're going behind, you're in the back lines, you're being a nuisance. Which makes I feel like which make pocket scout a little bit harder for most people. At least that's what I felt like when I did started to play. So yeah, but your abilities to just I think most people don't understand how really the strength that scout has, because it's different, right? Scout is the benefit and the downside of having pure hit scan is that you have to rely solely on your aim. At least with rockets, you can shoot the floor and then the damage does itself basically, as long as the rockets are good enough at a base level. But like you got to aim good if you want to be denying people. You got to aim good if you don't want your med to die. So as a pocket scout, ground yourself, and also as a flank member, as someone that love playing scout, I'm still a scout main to this day. Even though I've branched out to a lot of classes, but communication is so much more important as a pocket scout compared to anyone else, regardless of whether or not you're going to be main calling on the team. You could have like roamer on, or not roamer. Sorry, what am I saying? You can have pocket soldier be the one main calling, but pocket scout definitely should contribute a lot of comms regardless, because again, you're kind of the life of the medic is in your hands, basically, in a sense. So you had to talk to each other, and you gotta communicate with echolocation, basically. You just kind of gotta do that. So remember that it is a basically a four-way street. Four-way as in it's gonna be you, pocket soldier, demo, and medic. You guys are all gonna be working together. So you can't just go off and do stuff. Sometimes newer medics newer scouts that are playing pocket, they run off. They're like, oh, there's a kill right there. He's weak. I'm gonna go get that because that's an easy pick, right? I can chase him. And what happens is that pocket scout will run and chase whatever class, and that leaves the medic vulnerable. And what happens after that? Another person comes in on the enemy team, they jump in or they rush the medic, and then they die. So right, the pocket scout might have been chasing some weak pocket demo or scout, and it ends up causing the medic's death. And you don't want that. That's like the worst trade you can have. So don't do that. So anyway, going over to the flank scout, I kind of talked in unison of that. So, yeah. Hold on a second. Just getting some stuff sorted out. Sorry about that. Um, I'm gonna hold on real quick. I'm having some. All right, so that was fun. My computer decided to crash on me just just right there, so I had to restart my PC right there. My bad, my bad. I think it's the comp gods smiting me because they don't want me to talk about Scout. Probably that's what I'm gonna chalk it up to. It's a conspiracy. Don't believe big comp's lies. If that's one thing that should be taken away from this class, it's big comp, big comp. Sorry about that. But also I am not getting a response from my co-coach. I thought that, or hold on, sorry about that. Um, something's happening. Well, at least now maybe you guys can hear me. For the people that can't hear me, uh, in the channel. So you know, I guess might as well since I did crash to get a reset on both you guys. Now's just a good time for me to. You guys can ask some questions and stuff. Um, Also, wait, Jeff, do you want if you want to be my test subject, I can put you in. So, uh, hold on. Um, Also, Moose was mentioning how do you deal with the double bomb as a combo scout? I was gonna go over that later, but I might as well just tell you and talk about it now. Um, Double bombs as a combo scout really, you shouldn't be close enough to where you can just immediately deny them from even locking in. They just are gonna jump. So your main thing is that you are gonna try to put yourself between the soldiers. Not like physically, but like as a kind of a force in a sense. Tell your medic to like get out as quickly as possible and focus on specific players. So, um, wait, Jeff, do you wanna? Can you still not hear me, Jeff? This is so scuffed. I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna be relatively silent for a few minutes, trying to set back everything up. I need to boot up TF2 again. Um, Again, just in the meantime, I guess we're just going into questions at that point. Um, so yeah. Kid Icarus, I'm not quite saying to get closer to the soldier. So I guess if you want to divide the two ideas for the two different scouts, pocket soldier is kind of waiting, not waiting, but you're anticipating for you're stopping them when they're trying to get through. Um, while flank scout, you're trying to put yourself in between the soldiers before they can get that like bomb. For example, I think a good example of this is on Snakewater. On Snakewater, uh, bombs are extremely common. Medic on Snakewater mid is notorious for not being very fun because he gets constantly bombed. And I like to think about it this way: flank scout usually plays on the left height on Snakewater mid, and part of his role is to prevent the roamer or pocket, whatever scout. I'll be streaming soon. Don't worry. Whatever soldier from jumping through, because he's going to be, rocket jumping, right? And he's still on the early apex of that jump itself. So flank scout is in that perfect position to deny them before they can get to the medic. However, as a pocket scout, you're going to be sitting over in, I guess we can I'm gonna go on one of the full buff servers to briefly go on Snakewater to give an idea. I guess I might as well. I thought I was gonna go over aim theory a little bit sooner, but I guess I'm going through that first. But I will be I'll go on Snakewater so I can kind of demonstrate what I was talking about. In terms, I feel like I wanted to give you more visual guide on what I'm talking about instead of just trying to, describe everything orally, which is easier said than done. And I know not everyone can kind of visualize that. So, this is a more broad question, but at which amount of total playtime am I supposed to get good at any game? Not really the question I'm focusing on, but I don't know. I think being good is more of a subjective thing. It's about how you put your time and effort into it. Is anyone else cutting off, or is anyone else hearing me cut out and whatnot? But I guess I'll try to tie this over to Scout and specifics for your question, Naiho. Right. I to tie into Scout, you can have hundreds and hundreds of hours on Scout, but if you're only doing it like playing like Goofy, then you could still not be good at it. But if you have a lot more focused training on Scout, that could be a lot better in when it comes to improvement. So yeah. Also, I'm gonna start streaming my screen. I before you even watch the stream, I apologize for my extremely low 4x3 resolution because that's just how I play. So yeah. Um, Jeff, I would love for you to help out and whatever, but it's gonna kind of be difficult. If I can put you guys, I can put you in like a separate MG server just to talk about deathmatching basics, I suppose. So I will call upon you, Jeff. I know that you can only hear me in spirit, but yeah. So but again, before you guys even watch the stream, I apologize for for the extremely low quality. You have been warned. You have been warned. So, all right. Hopefully, you guys can see my TF2 in all of its 800 by 600 glory. I think that's what I'm running. So, yeah. But yeah, going over to if you guys can see the stream just fine. Hopefully, you guys can see it. I'm gonna go over to demonstrate what I was talking about over on mid fights. I had the old Morhud, the really boring one, the one that all the old competitive players use. Anyway, to demonstrate, for example, Pocket Scout usually sits here on Snakewater mids. But on the other hand, flank scouts tend to play over on this left side, right up here, with the roamer, and the flank is fighting the flank here. And right here, you see what I'm saying? These soldiers, so usually pocket soldier tends to sit here, roamer tends to sit here. You are in a prime position to deny the soldiers from jumping through before they can even attempt to get to the medic. Like, you can stop their attempt before they even have a chance of succeeding. So if you can stop them here, you are at a perfect spot. You are at the apex of the jump. So going over to soldiers real quick. Going over to soldier real quick. I'm going to talk in very layman's terms. Again, talking absolutes, just kind of get a point clear. So, right, this is not really what you want to do in the normal game. If you just do a simple rocket, I mean, you can do a rocket jump like this, but it's not going to be a good bomb. But in essence, you're getting from low ground to high ground, and right when you're at this apex, right when you're flying up, you're at the slowest possible speed, which allows the scout. It's the easiest possible place for the scout to do a ton of damage right up here. That's what the kind of the idea that I'm getting at, and the scout can really sit right here and deny the soldiers. Same goes with the bombing the roamer. You're the first one to be able to really recognize it because you're the kind of the closest to him. So you're the one that can kind of deny them. As a pocket scout, right? You're gonna see what the soldiers like to do. Or, for example, these are nice. I messed up my jump. These are common high bombs where they kind of go in and go for the medic. Same on the left side. You're kind of just these are just two common bombs when it comes to at least the high bombs. You see how, again, this is assuming the meds behind you. The pocket scout kind of has to wait for them to jump in. You're preparing for like them to be jumping into you if that first line of defense doesn't work out, and you want to prevent those soldiers from launching directly into the medic. If you can't kill the soldiers, at the very least, tell your medic to get back and try to get them from walking into here. When you're still here, you're still in the line. You're in the line of where the soldiers would bomb, so you can shoot them off and try to do as much damage as possible. So that's kind of the idea that I'm trying to I'm trying to get across, if that makes sense. Hopefully that's, if anyone needs clarifications on that, I think that's a good explanation at the very least about, what I wanted to talk about, but, yeah. So, hold on a second. Just, making sure, I'm just checking DMs to see if anyone's saying anything. Keep the questions coming. I'm gonna talk about aim theory kind of last and go over like more specific comp stuff first, if that makes sense. I'm not turning off motion blur. I don't care what the federal government says. I'm not turning off motion blur. So, anyway, going back, I kind of, with that topic that I explained on bombing, I kind of explained scouts jobs on mid in particular. Just to elaborate a tiny bit more before I go into second and then hopefully into last, I did want to mention right, really the soldiers and the scouts, this is more of a soldiers thing, but it's just as applicable as scouts. Obviously it's like it's pretty obvious when I say like high ground is good, but the reason people tend not to understand why high ground is good, they just think about high ground specifically just with soldier, and high ground is not only good because of the fact that let's talk in the lens of a soldier, right, they have that splash damage and it's a lot harder for them to splash you because you're on a high ground. It's harder to hit you. That's really the one thing that most people think about with high ground, but as Spectre says, most people don't look up. So you can really get a lot of damage control, and when it comes to high ground, you can see people, and really the being able to see people, you wouldn't think it's that crazy, but it really is. Just having the intel and knowledge of where people are walking through, because you have so much more eyesight on the high ground, allows you to do so much more, and that's what allows like that's why for example Pocket Scout sits here. It's a tiny bit of high ground, but they can see a lot more than if they're just sitting on this left side on yard, for example. So um Moose, you know what? I'll take you up on that offer. I'll let me DM you the connect info. I'll let you show off some of the like high bombs and what I mean by with the denials. Uh, you'll be my test mule instead of Jeff. So hold on a second. Here you go. I'll send it over to you, and just start spamming bombs, and I'll continue talking. But yeah, so I think that's mostly for Jeff is being silenced. That's the main idea when it comes to mid. For second and last as a scout, I'm gonna again talk real quick about them. Hopefully this class has been okay. Okay, it's kind of been pretty scuffed because of all the tech issues and the lesson structure, but I'm trying to get all the topics that I want covered. When it comes to playing Scout on second, and I'm not talking just in Snake One, I'm talking in general, you are still watching for a lot of the same things. And even the positioning is a reflection of the same ideas that come with soldier bombs. For example, Scout on this point tends to sit either on the shed or directly walking on this wall, because you're kind of the first line when it comes to denying soldiers that come in, right? You're kind of stopping that soldier from walking through. They can jump in like that, but if you can stop them when you're in over here, that will be a lot better than if, on the other hand, Pocket Scout tends to sit a little bit more farther back. Maybe they're sitting in crates or maybe they're sitting on logs. They have to recognize that later and try to deny it at that point. So, or over in bats, which is a lot easier said than done. So, but yeah, again, like say as a Pocket Scout, right? One of the positions you're holding is right here. This is, I guess another way to put it is Pocket Scout is shooting the soldiers when they land. Flank Scout is still trying to shoot them before they even land. So, yeah, and that's kind of like the idea. So, also, I'm missing my shots. Whoops. But still, the roles tend to remain the same. You have to remember, Flank Scout 2 is Pocket Scout. I ragged on the whole time about Pocket Scout defending the medic. They're the one getting heals. They're the one doing all the damage and making sure the medic is safe. You have to remember, Flank Scout is the complete opposite. It's a lot more akin to what most people would think about when it comes to Scout and Casual, because they're not going to be. They're only going to be running around. They're preventing the other Scout from walking through, but they are squishy. They don't get the overheal like the. They don't get the juicy overheal that the Pocket Scout does, and they don't get the. They don't get the support that the rest of the combo members has. The Flank Scout only has themselves and their roamer, and that's pretty much it. So Flank Scout, they're expected as a metric. Flank Scout is mostly expected to be a. I have a second name for Flank Scout. Flank Scout's real name in sixes is actually Point Bitch, because that is a lot of Flank Scouts' role. They're the one capping a lot of the time. They're the one kind of just sitting with the point, the ×2, and they're the one kind of doing the dirty work in a sense. They're the cleanup crew, which is, I guess that's really the way to describe Flank Scout. They're the cleanup crew, whether it be the point control or whether it be killing low damage people, so, or low health people, and that's kind of what you do in Flank Scout. You're gonna expect not to do too much damage a minute. You're gonna do like sub 200 damage a minute, and yeah, so, and you don't have the glamour or glory of Roamer. Oftentimes, Roamer's the one that can sack a lot easier compared to the Flank Scout, which tends to just be more of a distraction. So, but yeah, that's kind of it for second. Second pretty much carries the same principles as first point of when it comes to soldier denials, when it comes to where you play, and when it comes to heals. The important thing to remember about playing Flank Scout in specific is that you're kind of on your own unless you request help. If you want help, you need to request it. As a Pocket Scout, I mean, anyone will still want to ask for help if they need it. I mean, same with life. Ask help with you when you need it, but as a Flank Scout, you gotta go get help. if you want it, because as a pocket, you're kind of next to everyone. You're kind of next to everyone, and you're helping out with everyone, and right, you're kind of the main anchor when it comes to that. As a flank scout, right, you're not getting heals unless you're asking for heals at an arrow from far away, or if you walk over to your medic physically and ask for overheal. You're not going to get what you want unless you willingly go there. So don't expect things to just happen. I mean, but same can be said for both classes, but I'm talking more specifically about heals, especially so on second. So, yep. Um, yeah. And then going to last, kind of a different tangent. The big thing that I want to mention on last is that Scout tends to not play Scout on last, ironically. I know we're talking about Scout fundamentals here and whatnot, but big thing is, I think if you want to play a good flank Scout, get accustomed to off-classing. Again, not usually the thing that I would usually want to mention for a Scout class, but that's kind of your thing. Scout strengths are Scout's strengths are suppressed and Scout's weaknesses are multiplied on last, because right, remember, Scout's the fast class. He's the one that can move forward and back really quickly for free, right? He's squishy, but he's the best death matcher. Those upsides are pretty much mitigated. There's no reason that you need to walk forward because you're already next to spawn, so there's no distance to cover, right? And you're a squishy class. Your weakness is multiplied because of the fact that your speed isn't really helping out. So that doesn't help out. And also, your denial tools are mitigated as well because there's less ground to cover and other classes can do that a little bit better. So you'd rather be playing a specialist where you know how specialists are balanced by the fact that they're good at one thing very well and they're bad at several other things. For example, right, the polar opposite, heavy. Heavy is, again, we're talking theoretically absolutes. Heavy is the best damage dealer of any class. Like, if we're talking straight damage per second, if we're talking straight DPS, point blank range, Heavy is the best class by far. And his minigun will mow down, and his minigun is hit scan. His minigun is the best at denying people aside from the sentry itself. So, again, that's not, and that's right. We'll go into sentry later, but those hit scan weapons are way better. The sentry and the miniguns, whatever minigun you use, they're way stronger than having a kind of a pity shotgun, right, at a far distance. So Heavy's weaknesses are his speed. Engineer's weaknesses is his time to set up his buildings. But those weaknesses are mitigated by the fact that you are near the spawn, so it's way easier to set up. So again, just kind of the justifications on why, as a scout, you kind of don't, as a flank scout specifically, you tend not to play scout as much on last points. So usually what I like to say about off classes when you're playing scout is play the off classes that you are most proficient at. You can, even if sometimes engineer would be a better pick to do than a heavy, if you are a lot more confident at heavy, maybe that would be a little bit better. Obviously, that comes with time and practice, but that's the most important thing: your confidence on what you can do. So, and you also still remember Pocket Scout. You're still gonna be. It tends to be Pocket Scout still remains a scout mainly due to the fact that Scout is still a powerful class despite all the things that I just did mention. And you still want to be building with your medic, right? I kind of assume that you guys all knew this, but you also have to remember Pocket Scout does build with med. Please use Boston Basher as a Pocket Scout. So that's one of the big things. So also, Jeff, why are you Pug Band? What'd you do this time? Not again. My stream is currently paused. Again, I'm alt tab real quick, just to let you guys know. So yeah. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about when it comes to map specifics. I'm gonna try to see if I can switch the server over to an MG server, which I was having trouble with previously. But just another Q&A section while we set that up real quick. Any questions when it comes to map specific stuff? When it comes to like scout theory that isn't aim or movement. Ask up your questions as needed. It can be a lot more abstract. It honestly can be. I can talk about how to counter scout if you guys would like to. This is all about scout, so I can also talk about how to counter scout. And I guess I can pull 40 chess and talk about how to counter what people think can counter scout. So it's like counter the counter. um, EP says, how do you decide what engagements you commit to and how much you commit to them? That is a good question. I think I tried to cover it when I was talking about all those bomb stuff, but I feel like maybe I wasn't as clear. So I guess I think that is something that is good to mention. Don't bite off more than you can chew, regardless of whether you're a flank scout, whether you're podcast scout. Do not bite off more than you can chew. And your checks and balance when it comes to that is simply your health. The fact that you are a low health class, you're a light health class is your checks and balance to prevent you from just letting you go do stuff for free. So, yeah. So, right. If you whether you're not, it will depend on your range. If you're at a longer range and you feel like there's too much, you will never ever. This is not just on any class. You never ever want to take an even fight. You don't want to take an NG. You don't want to take an even 1v1 fight, a 1v1 scout, 125 health, 125 health. You never want that. You always want to tip the scales in your favor. And if you notice that you're trying to fight an unfavorable fight, you might as well not even try. You want to let them come to you, or right, instead of you trying to aggress into them, you want to let them come into you so that you have a natural positional advantage. So I guess this kind of does actually go over aim and map theory. Right, if for example in this specific scenario, say there's the combo members are walking through Saw, and for some reason as a scout you're sitting here alone. Maybe not. You have 180 health, 5 health. Maybe you have base health. I don't know. But in this situation, you don't have the support of your teammates. They have several people. They have more than one player here. And yes, maybe you think that you're better. Maybe you have an ego and you think they're better than them. Like, oh, I can take one of these guys on. But now you have to remember the fact that you are not playing an even fight. You're playing against a 2v1. You're playing with players with more health. You're playing with players that potentially have a medic behind them. And in that case, you don't want to take it. What you want to do is you want to wait for them to come to you, because when they're walking in, there's a lot of confusion. They have to walk forward to come into you. In that case, you have positional advantage because you're working on high ground. You're walking on places where it's a lot easier to deny. You're flame scouts playing on this wall or this shed, just playing up here, and you have a height advantage where you can watch them easier, and it's harder for them to spam you. So in that case, right, again, use the map to make that your advantage. If you can't make your health your advantage, or if you can't make your player numbers an advantage, you got to use your map as an advantage. And by you have to take your fights, you have to select your fights, right? And this is especially important for Pocket Scout. If you don't select your fights, right, if you don't select your fights, you run off, and then you leave your medic, and then your medic dies. And then what do? You can't do anything after that. So, pick your fights carefully. And I think Flank Scout, I think this is good specifically for Pocket Scout on defensive roles. And it's also good for Flank Scout on offensive fights, right? When do you choose to chase low health players, right? Remember, Flank Scout is basically the cleanup crew. You're not going to get as much heals, you're not going to do as much damage, but you can take advantage of the fact that you're taking you want to use the unfair fights in your favor when they're running away or when they're isolated to go for those picks. So yeah, choose them carefully, and honestly, most of it comes down to time and practice, recognizing the game state and figuring out when is the best time to walk through. So and also listen to your main caller. That's an important thing. Listen to what your main caller says. I tend not to like saying this, but hear me out. So usually I don't like to say, listen to your main caller blindly. But that is exactly what I'm saying right now. Listen to your main caller blindly, and if you mess up, you go by the book about what your main caller is saying. If your main caller says, "Let's walk forward with the team," and you walk forward, no one else is with you, the blame, if it doesn't work out, the blame is on your main caller. If no one else walks with you and you die alone, that is the blame of the rest of your teammates because they're not listening to your main caller. So whether or not your main caller is right or wrong, okay, obviously you want to use basic intuition. You don't want to be walking in into 1v6. But if it seems reasonable enough, I think it's important to listen to your main caller's decision making and make plays accordingly. Because usually, if they're trying to make good decisions, it'll end up working out. So, again, use basic intuition, yes, but also please do listen to what the shot caller is trying to tell you to do. So, if you want to make action happen. But yeah. Any other questions? I feel like I skipped some because I was busy discussing that one. Hardy with a bit more of an off-topic question. Last time I played was 2013. Does Pockets only have a different role these days? Feels like Pockets guys replaced them. Yeah, I mentioned at the start of the lecture about the big shift, the tiny balance change that completely changed the shift of the class roles. Um, uh, the big shift was because of Meet Your Match and because Scout Speed, Medic was able to match Scout Speed on all meta guns. Back before Meet Your Match, Priest 2016, Pocket Soldier was a lot more integral of a member on the combo side because they are running shotgun and then they were the main medic bodyguard because they had all the damage, right? They sucked up all the damage, they sucked up a lot of heals. But it also meant that they had a shotgun so that they can defend their medic a lot better. But since then, right, medic has a mutual, they have a mutual relationship now with Scout because they can walk faster to the fights. So that makes it even better for them to walk forward. So, yeah. So that's why both soldiers nowadays, they use gunboats, and that's why Pocket Scout is a lot bigger of a role in the team nowadays. So, yeah. If that makes sense. I'm gonna try to switch the map real quick. I'm gonna stop the stream real quick and then start it up again. Going to try to figure out which MG servers are on this server that Fobo has provided, because it's been a little bit, and we'll go from there. I'm just gonna try to go into an MG server so I can talk more about aim theory. I'm gonna use these last 7 or so minutes. I've been talking for a lot longer than I thought I was. To just kind of talk about some more aim stuff, if I can. So sorry about that. I am gonna be starting up my stream in a few minutes. If I can't get an MG server, I can just go on the Snakewater Middle and just kind of demonstrate. So give me a quick minute, and we'll get things on the road. Yeah, Hardy, it's kind of more like that. It is kind of more like two roamers at that point. So, yeah, Pocket Soldier is still part of the pocket in a sense, but he's kind of the closest of the flex in between flank and the combo members because he's the least prioritized of the combo members. And personally, for most teams, he's the least prioritized, and he tends to watch other places. So. I heard that Pocket Scout protects medics and Flank Scout protects demo. I'm not sure where you heard that because Pocket Scout protects obviously mainly the medic, but the rest of the team in general. Demo's, pretty soft counter, I'd say, is Scout, and that's where Pocket Scout should be stepping in to help out. You have to flank Scout, as I've mentioned, they're playing with their roamer, their other flank member, and they're going to be, they're going to be jumping in together, or they're going to be watching all the alternative paths. So the flank Scout and the roamer, they're going to be fighting the other flank Scout and roamer. The Pocket Scout is defending pretty much everyone, but mainly the medic. So I'm not sure where you heard that, Desert Fox, but yeah. So that just to clarify. All right, Moose Absolute G providing a MG server. So I will start streaming in a bit. Gonna try to keep this short. I kind of again, because of all the weird shenanigans that's been happening, I'm gonna go a little bit late on schedule here, but gonna talk about aim theory and kind of close it off. There's you can go a lot deeper into it, but I'm not gonna get too like crazy specific. So at least to a certain level. Let's add to let's add to product mid, or not product, process middle. I'm gonna stream my screen real quick. Moose, for now, don't just don't DM. I'm just gonna talk about movement. So well, let me just switch my loadout. When it comes to fighting scouts like this in a situation like this, remember, try to keep that high ground if you can. Just clarification. But when you want to practice scouts, I think it's important to really practice that low ground fighting. And you have a few types of aim. There's two main types that I really like to divide it as. There's people that like to track people and track the scout and try to get their accuracy as good as possible. There's people that like to flick. They like to flick and try to hit their scout instead. So honestly, I'm not very much a flick aimer. Even if I tried, my flick aim isn't very good. I'm more of like a kind of a smooth aimer where they're tracking a little bit more. And then there's a third one that is less common, where you're using your movement to aim. So you're kind of trying to match where the scout is to make make it easier to aim your movement. So that is another one, and I'd say I fall mostly under the smooth and movement aim for fighting scouts specifically. But this is applicable to pretty much everyone. So scout is the one that mainly uses it, but you see how I'm kind of supplementing each of both my smooth aim with the fact that my movement makes it easier. If I just aim like this, I'm just you're just using aim trainer at that point. So yeah. Another thing to note, big thing, avoid double jumping during fights. Double jumping, what happens when you double jump is you're effectively making your movement easier to predict for the scout, especially when you're fighting against hit scan. And if you're fighting against projectiles, if you're double jumping, then you have no way to easily change your movement direction if a soldier's shooting you. Say a soldier shoots over here, you know he's about to shoot over here, you can use that second double jump to completely diverge the way that you're moving through. If you already use your second double jump, yeah, you can do strafes, right? You can strafe around, but you can't just immediately switch your movement direction like you can with a standard double jump. So, also blue, when it comes to the type of aim that you do want to go for, it is entirely personal preference. There are players that excel at having the wackiest flicks ever, and they like get immediate meat shots perfectly. And there are people that are incredibly good at tracking. For example, if we think of really good movement aim players, you can look at Clockwork, which is almost undisputed #1 scout ever to play. And there's also players that are extremely good at just only tracking, which there's a very old legacy player called YZ50 who we actually have partly for the existence of MG in general. He is known for having extremely good tracking. However, there's other players like AMS or Flick or players like that who are known for having extremely quick flicking aim that can do a lot of damage. So just find what works for you and experiment, right? Experiment, whether mainly in like MG matchups. So, and as you see, the way we're moving right now, you want to stay grounded as much as possible. Again, you see how if I keep double jumping, the movement gets very predictable. The movement gets predictable, and he can't change the direction that much, which makes it a lot easier for me to meet shot. If you're moving here, you have it's very much pretty quick how you can switch the direction, and you want to keep yourself inconsistently consistent, in the sense that your movement should be consistent in what you want to do, but be relatively unpredictable at the same time, right? You want to be mainly utilizing your A and D keys to be fighting, and just kind of right there. So, and again, it's also good to learn your strafing. Having really good strafes can help you with dodging, especially in situations where you can't do much, right? Like say a person's over and they're running at you, and at this point you're just trying to buy time. So you're just trying to buy time, just trying to make sure that you don't die. It might be good to learn try to get your movement better, and you can also do what they think. If you want to get simple, I can say at a base level, you can say, okay, if you think that they're going to aim here, you move here. But then then the second level goes, a better soldier's like, okay, he's going to think I'm going to aim here, and then he's going to strafe here. So then I'm going to aim here instead, right? Actually, could you go soldier to demonstrate? Let me give myself a ton of health so I can kind of demonstrate. So, right, the soldier would think, I'm running this direction. I'm running. Go over here. I'm running this direction. Just shoot over here. Right? They think, oh, I'm walking this way. Right? So they think that you're gonna walk this way. Or so then I try to strafe the other way. Now the soldier thinks, okay, he's gonna think I'm gonna shoot here, and the scout's gonna think the scout's gonna go here instead. So now I'm gonna shoot here. So say like I strafe here and then I strafe back. So now he shoots here instead. In that case, then you have to one up it. You have to really. It can get really overcomplicated if you think things too hard. After a certain point, it becomes muscle memory about how you want to strafe. So for now, I'd say at a simple level, just avoid where you think that they're going to shoot. But when you get to higher levels, you're going to try to avoid that direction that they're thinking that they're going to avoid. It's hard to explain without really putting it into practice. It's really hard to explain without putting it into practice. So stuff like that is a little bit harder to put into perspective. So you see, I'm trying to dodge where he thinks I'm coming through, or at the very least, mitigating my damage by jumping. So I'm using my strafing to make myself more unpredictable. If you already use your double jump, it's good to use that as your kind of your unpredictability method. It's kind of hard to demonstrate, but does that kind of make sense? Hopefully. So, and again, if you're trying to kill that soldier, you got to get them early during that apex of the jump before he gets that high ground. So, but yeah, those are the main things I wanted to say when it comes to specific 1v1 fights. When you're fighting a soldier, make sure to keep as much high ground as possible. This railing is a good example, right? It's a lot harder for a soldier to spam over here. You can kind of double jump here, and he can't spam the low ground. I can just kind of, jump around and prevent him from doing damage to me. And if you are going to take damage, jump into it. Jump into it so that you can utilize damage surfing, so that you can get out of fights or take actually high ground from that. So you can really step up your aim and you can step up your movement together. So try to use each of them wisely and whatnot. So could you go demo real quick? And then once I can talk about demo, I think I'm going to close things off. When you're fighting against demos kind of be kind of your easiest matchups. The thing that makes it easy is that you can get a lot more up close. Oh, let me give myself health. You can get a lot more up close and then kind of fight them because right, stickies take time to detonate. I'm doing a really bad job of dodging it, but like it's really hard for the demo to get to you because scout can walk up to you and demo doesn't want to do damage on himself, right? So you can jump over the stickies, you can dodge pipes. Scout is the soft counter to demo, so it's a lot easier to fight up the demo. Make sure to keep your movement unpredictable, and I'd say when you're fighting demos especially, you want to actually utilize your double jumps a lot more than other classes. I'd say if you're fighting a scout, you want to try to generally avoid double jumps. If you're fighting a soldier, it's good to jump, but you want to save your second jump for times when you do need to switch your direction. As a demo, I think you want to when you're fighting a demo, you want to kind of try to use your double just as much as possible to change your direction. They're kind of the same in principles, but mainly more so to dodge the stickies in that sense. So, and yeah, so I think I'm already kind of I'm going later than I was hoping to. I think I've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to. Aim theory is not something that I can really talk about unless it's a person by person. I had to go like I have to talk to you specifically and watch how you aim if I want to give you insight on how to do that aim. I just wanted to say the 3 types of aim, and the main thing to take away about aim theory is do what suits you best. Don't do. It's like people that copy the specs of pro players or like Banny or whatever. Just because you copy their specs doesn't mean it'll be good for you. You can use it as a baseline. You can use it as like a starting point, but after that you want to figure out what you want, what is most suitable for yourself, right? What's your best sensitivity? What makes it easiest for you to play. So use that for your whether it be sensitivity, whether it be your movement. Use that as a metric for your deathmatching abilities. But that is pretty much it. That's the main stuff I wanted to cover. Any last call for questions? I've had way too many calls for questions because of the shit that's happened. But last call for questions. If you also do want to, you can raise your hand and I can put you up on stage if you want to talk elaborate on your question or whatever. But you can also put them in the text chat. Herdy asks, how am I helping out versus an enemy Uber? Anything I can do other than run away? Ironically, I think you kind of answered your own question. It really is just running away. Right, remember, it goes back to the whole thing about matching scout speed. If you are not with a medic, if the medic can't catch with you and get your speed, it's going to be way harder for them to run away. The moment you hear that they use, your first instinct for not just you, but any class should be to run away. Because you want to delay, whether you have Uber or not, you want to delay the effectiveness, you want to mitigate their Uber effectiveness as much as possible. You want to make sure that they're, like, if you can, keep running away so they can't even do anything with their Uber. They can't even catch up. So, help out with your medic in that sense. You don't want to be like, they're like, you don't want to be a meat shield, I should say. You don't want to get up there to delay in the sense that you're sacrificing your life. You want to stay alive so that you can ultimately just avoid the problem altogether. So hopefully that's I think that's pretty comprehensive of an answer with that. It's Me Blue says, any tips for soldier versus scout when we are both on crates on process? The tight space makes it quite tricky. If you're talking about process middle, actually we can demonstrate that right now real quick. Moose, if you can go soldier and then we can play over on height. We can show that off. So when you're fighting up here on the crates, let me give myself a lot of these. If you're fighting right now over here, an easy way to avoid damage is sitting on this lip right here. That's a lower incline. It's a lot harder for soldiers. Still can do damage, but it's a lot harder for them to do effective damage. And if you're here, you can jump across over to the crates to stop the damage from occurring. So, and also, again, use the double jumps and be unpredictable. Sometimes you want to do the exact opposite of what you think you do. For example, say I'm trying to dodge the damage here. I'd want to avoid taking damage by doing. Sorry, I fell off. I'd want to avoid the rockets by double jumping and coming back to the same position, right? But you can also do the exact opposite of what you want to do. If you're a soldier, you think that the scout wants to keep your distance, but sometimes you can get completely up close to the soldier, and that completely throws them off. When it comes to DMing, sometimes it's good to do the exact opposite of what they think. Again, it's the 4D chess I've mentioned. You want to mess with them and kind of be unpredictable about what you want to do. So, if that kind of makes sense. And then Herdy asks, where do you recommend getting practice? I'm an EU player at the moment, just doing pugs and a Discord server whenever I can. Pugs are a great resource for starting out. I'd say starting out is good. I've never been much of a pugger myself. I've liked just having a scrim setting. especially because it's like kind of off season at the time, like not like season time. I think it's good to, if you can, commit to a whole season, get accustomed to playing with the team so that you guys are more in tune with each other. But if you want to practice DM in specifics, I really recommend MG, obviously, but also the DM servers. DM servers tend to be a lot more like exclusive, and they're usually dead only until like scrim time happens. But if you can get into one, it's really good. So yeah. Uh I'd say so. I feel like not really. I think if you're worried about availability, you can always register as a sub, right? And then you can play in that situation. Unless you're like working night shifts where you like physically can't play at the normal times. But yeah, so I think that's fine. I think it depends on the, like, you have to make that clear with your, yeah, team availability and whatnot. So I mean, I'm saying night shifts because like a lot of, scrims usually happen at night. So that's it. Uh DM servers. Okay, DM servers are like, they are a dead breed of server. Like there are, I think I can name 2 active DM servers that still exist. I'm not talking about the one with like the giant arena that's like really like the, just like a random community server DM server. There's DM underscore duel. I'm talking about servers that are DM servers where they run maps like process, and they run a plugin so that you respawn instantly, and it's pretty much a free for all. The one server that I can really tell you about is called the Spaceship DM servers. It's exclusive when the server limit is only 8 people. So yeah, they only usually get populated for like an hour or two, and it usually has the best players. And even whenever I play on DM servers, I tend to get steamrolled. So take of that as you will. If you really want to step up your DM game, that would be somewhere that you might want to approach. So, but yeah. That's why I usually don't recommend DM servers, but I just wanted to mention just in case if you like really think you have what it takes. But um, what is bunkering? When should I do it? Bunkering is more of a thing for King of the Hill specifically, but bunkering is the idea is that you're fortifying your like defenses so that your medic doesn't die. You put your medic in a tight enclosed space, but you cover all the doorways and whatnot with players so that their classes can't jump into you. You tend to want to bunker when you have point control and you have an Uber advantage. So, but you don't want to aggress. You know that they're going to come in to try to go for a sack, so you want to bunker so that you want to protect your medic. That's kind of the idea. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I'm getting pretty ahead of schedule. Any last questions? If not, I think I'm gonna call it quits for this discussion. I apologize for all the weird stuff that happened, but I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. So I enjoyed teaching this one. So any last things? Any last things? If not, I will be going out. All right. If you have any other questions, though, be sure to DM me. You can also ask in classroom chat. And also, I think Egan should be uploading a VOD somewhere on Twitch. So, yeah. See you guys on the flip side. Again, you can always DM me if you have anything. So, goodbye.